Hello there everybody, it is your friendly neighbourhood Dude, and today we're going to be reviewing Spider-Man No Way Home. Now I'm a little bit late, but that's because I've been waiting for you guys to see it. Without further ado, obviously there will be spoilers in today's video. Let's get on with the video. Straight after Spider-Man Far From Home, where Quentin Beck reveals Spider-Man's identity to the world, and he gets framed for, well, killing Quentin Beck, even though it was the drones who did it. So Peter Parker now has to struggle with his life now that everybody knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man and believes that he is the killer of Quentin Beck. However, Peter isn't charged with anything because he has a really good lawyer, obviously going by the name of Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, aka Charlie Cox. And it was crazy to see him as Daredevil, especially after seeing Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin in Hawkeye. Now, he does say that Happy is being questioned because of the fact of the stolen Stark tech. And because of the court of public opinion, we find out that Peter has to go stay in Happy's apartment, which is quite teched out with Stark technology, and it is really cool. However, Peter then applies for college and he doesn't get into MIT. Neither of his friends do because of being associates with Peter Parker. Oh, and we also find out that MJ's surname is Watson, very comic accurate. Now, Peter figures out the only way to fix this is to go to Doctor Strange. So Peter travels down to the Sanctum Sanctorum and asks Doctor Strange to go back in time and erase what happened so that Quentin never actually revealed his identity. However, it is not as simple as that because he doesn't have the Eye of Agamotto anymore. So instead he makes a spell where everybody forgets who Peter Parker is. Or more accurately, that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. This spell doesn't go so well as it breaks the multiverse after too many alterations by Peter. And it brings in all the villains from the multiverse by the simple line, just everybody that knew before still knows, and that just brought every villain that knew Peter was Spider-Man into the MCU. However, Peter finds out that all he could have done is rung up MIT so that he doesn't have this problem anymore. So that's where he goes. So Peter manages to catch up to the MIT lady until it turns out Dr. Octopus is now in the MCU. And it is of course the Alfred Molina. He turns the line, "Hello Peter," and then they have this epic fight. He saves the MIT lady. She considers him, MJ and Ned going back into MIT or being possibly offered the opportunity to go there. And he manages to capture Dr. Octopus when he steals nanotech off of his suit, and Peter can now control his tentacles. And this is just as Green Goblin swoops in, and before he can kill Peter, or try to kill Peter, Doctor Strange saves him just in time. This is where he sees Lizard and Doc Ock now trapped in cells. So he finds out that he brought in everybody that knew Peter was Spider-Man across the multiverse into his universe. So the only solution is to go out and catch them. And MJ, he manages to track down the Green Goblin, or so he thinks. However, he's greeted with something much different, which is Electro and Sandman. However, Sandman decides to help him, as it is the same one we saw at the end of Spider-Man 3. And of course, Peter also gets his new black and gold suit, which is just the Far From Home suit inside out. But on his wrist, he does have... However, on his wrist, he does have a piece of the Iron Spider nanotech, which is now all magicified, so that he can now catch up these bad guys. However, when he catches Electro, Sandman becomes doubtful and he has to catch him as well. Then Aunt May calls Peter and tells him that one of the guys that he's looking for is at Beast, where she is. And that is of course Norman Osborn, because there are only 5 Sinister Six members in this film. So he goes over there and decides to trust Norman because he's a bit, lost it because the Green Goblin has taken over a lot of him. Because he's just a lost old man, and Peter just feels sorry for him. And after finding out that all of these villains are going to die, he has a fight with Doctor Strange. He wins. He traps Strange in the mirror dimension, and now he's going to try and cure these villains. He successfully manages to cure Dr. Octopus, and he gets this new hybrid suit, which is the Far From Home suit with nanotech on it. However, all goes wrong when Norman Osborn is discovered to be, controlled by the Green Goblin. So now he has to fight him, and in the end, Aunt May dies, which is very sad. So when Ned and MJ go to find, or try to find Peter with Ned's new magic powers, they bring in Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, which is awesome. I just love seeing him back. He was such a good Spider-Man, and I'm just glad he's finally getting some more screen time and getting the justice he deserved. And we also got Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man back, which was also really cool to see. I honestly screamed so much when these two entered the theatre. In fact, I'm completely going off script right now, doing and saying what I'm saying right now, because that was epic seeing these two back again. Then the three Peters have a talk and say about, with great power comes great responsibility, which in the MCU is a line that Aunt May says to Peter instead of Uncle Ben. Well, at least we think so, we'll just have to wait for freshman year. And they all talk about what they've lost, how Andrew became a bit more violent after Gwen's death, and it is very sad, yet also very cool to see all these three Spider-Man in the same room. So they manage to whip up cures for all the villains, and they head to the Statue of Liberty to have the final battle. This is two older films where we see Tom Holland's Spider-Man say how he was part of the Avengers when they can't work as a team, and then being completely confused, confirming that in their universes they don't have the Avengers. Toby and Tom saying how they fought aliens and how Andrew hasn't, so he hasn't encountered Venom yet. And it's just really cool to see all these Peters react and talk to each other. It is just epic, really fun to see. So they manage to cure all the villains until Green Goblin comes and blows up the magic box, which could, contain the spell which could keep all the villains at bay. And then finally we get the fight between Peter and Green Goblin, and Peter's about to kill Green Goblin when Tobey's Spider-Man saves Green Goblin and tells him that's not what we do, until Tobey gets stabbed. Now, there was something that I didn't mention, which was how when Electro got cured, he talked about a black Spider-Man, which was epic, talking about Miles Morales. And then when Dr. Octopus and Tobey reunite, they say about how the power of the sun is now in the grasp of his hands. So Peter realises that the only way he's going to be able to save his friends and send all the villains back is by erasing Peter Parker from their minds. However, after seeing MJ in the coffee shop, he realises it's safer to make sure that they don't know who he is and not be involved with him. Peter getting a new suit, as he cannot rely on Stark technology anymore, as he doesn't have those affiliations with Tony Stark. We see Aunt May's grave at the end, which has the same message as the PS4 game, and then we also get to see Peter's new apartment and a beginning or an end which is very similar to the beginning of the Spider-Man PS4 game as well. There are a lot of similarities to that game in this film. And obviously the new suit is very comic accurate, and I just love it. It's definitely my favourite iteration or live action iteration of the Spider-Man suit. And then we end off the film with the post-credit scene of Venom, who, is in there for a split second in the MCU, however he quickly gets taken out, leaving it for the MCU Venom to, come in because of the symbiote being left behind. The other post-credit scene is just the Doctor Strange 2 trailer, which is online now. So if you haven't watched that, go watch that because it is very cool. There are a couple plot holes which people have been talking about, with the Venom being in the film when he doesn't, even have a Spider-Man in his universe, and to that it's just because of the hive, the Venom hive mind, which expands beyond just that universe, and obviously the Venom from Tobey's universe would be, or would have known that Peter's Spider-Man. And then obviously the other one could be Electro, and I'd probably say when he's absorbing data in Amazing Spider-Man 2, he manages to figure out that Peter's Spider-Man. If not, I'm sure they'll explain it at some point, one way or another. I give Spider-Man No Way Home an 11 out of 10 because it was just that good. It was really the perfect Spider-Verse film. I couldn't have asked for anything better. Well, you know, we could have had like Miles or something, but I think just having those three Spider-Man, at least having Tobey and Andrew, just makes it that. It was definitely the best film of 2021, and I just can't wait to see what they do next with Spider-Man 4, and of course Multiverse of Madness. A review for Spider-Man No Way Home. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you like and subscribe, that'd be greatly appreciated. Hope you all have an amazing 2022. I'll be, you know, making more and more videos. I'm not going to stop the grind. But yeah, so I'll see you all next video. Peace out, bye bye. Due date signing off.